This is brought to you by the George Jackson Grassroots Collective, a progressive organization in the new African independence movement that cultivates revolutionary transfer culture, liberating the minds through awareness and education, protecting and training our people while fostering unity as stated in the Code of Umoja. Welcome to the George Jackson Grassroots Collective Dialogue Session.
Greetings. My name is Abdullah Ghazi, National Chairman of the George Jackson Grassroots Collective. I also have my spokesman here, and we will be talking to our comrade. I would love for you to announce yourself, comrade, and tell us who are you affiliated and more about yourself.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank you for the honor of being in this interview. It's an honor for me, and it's really excited to me that this is the most the black and brown unity, and I really love what you do. My name is Chiltic, Cayotl. That means red fox in Nahuatl. But everybody just call me Chiltic. Not everybody can pronounce those words in Nahuatl. And I'm the regional commander of Los Brown Berets of the north direction of the land. We have regional commanders because the way our ancestors did it, we honor the four directions, and when we walk the red road, we did it on the four directions because we were looking that we were polluting Mother Earth, and then it wasn't good to populate a small space. So our ancestors decided to, we have to go in the four directions to honor Mother Earth on the whole continent of Samanawa. And that's the reason we have the regional commanders of four directions. Joe is our commander of the west direction. And I'm like I said, I'm the commander of the north direction, and I live in Chicago. So I also part of the Chicago chapter, and we work along with the Indiana chapter also. We work together because we're so close to each other, and we trying to grow in the 50s, have chapters in the 50 states, and we're working on it. Of any brown beret, we are the biggest chapter nationwide. We are the chapter, the branch that we have more members nationwide. And but we also work with the other brown berets because I also part of La Mesa Nacional, and there is a coalition of brown berets of different branches, autonomous and different names, but we all brown berets. And I also the sub-local chairman of BMWED, Brotherhood Maintenance Away Employee Division in the railroad. And we do our best to unite, because the same thing that happened in unions, it happened in the streets. They want to divide us. The electricians, the building and bridges department, the track department, the one I'm at. The company always wants to be sneaky and divide us. So we trying our best not to. We just did a coalition not too long ago of unions in the railroad, and it went really well. And another thing I'm part of is Socialistas Unidos Revolucionarios. That's the organization started in Mexico. The leader of the organization is called Rafael Parra. He lives in Tijuana, and but because he has a lot of knowledge, he has members everywhere, and friends in Mexico and in Canada. He has members all over the place. Most of them we are in here and Mexico, but there's other members in different countries.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Yes, sir. Um, how long and you've been in the movement, and when did you start, and what inspired you to be in the movement?
Yeah, I think it's in my DNA because I always see injustice since I was little, and I hate it. I'm like, man, this can be happening. But I was young, and those thoughts come to my mind, and I know they were on my heart, but I just did what a young teenager did. Just be with my friends and play and go play sports and do a lot of things, go to parties and stuff. But the reason I say it's in my DNA, that's because my grandfather, he was a treasurer of the union in Mexico and the oil company. He was the general treasurer of the whole oil company in Mexico. And when Lázaro Cárdenas became president, he was in the union, and Lázaro Cárdenas, he nationalized the oil company and took everything away from the investors of United States. And the future for Mexico at that time, it was looking good. And my grandfather, he was a person of integrity, and they tried to buy him. They tried to buy him to pay him off, and he didn't do it. He said, no, we are gonna do the right thing, and we're gonna fight for the people, and this has gonna be, because all the unions had the support of Lázaro Cárdenas at the time, and they end up assassinating him. My grandma was left with 14 children, and I think that's the best I say is in my DNA. And when I joined the Brown Berets, it was 6 years ago when they start having these kids jails. They call it detention centers. When the people was crossing the border, and then they deport the parents and keep the children. And because there was nobody to claim them, legally they are state property. So that's when I say, you know what, we got to do something about this. And that's when I joined the Brown Berets.
A quick question.
Yes.
With the kids being state property, can you go into details? What would that mean if all these kids become state property that's not being claimed?
Yeah, I mean, actually, they can do with them whatever they want. And people people is when I say this to people, they don't believe it, or they say, where I can find that information. And I told them, this black market, you're not gonna find information about that. You got to go into their world to know about it, because, like I say, when they become state property, they can do with them whatever they want. They some of them, they go to the sex trafficking or pedophilia. Some other ones, they sell it in pieces, organ harvesting. They do that in jail too. And what they put with the inmates in jail, they say, okay, suicide. They commit suicide. When some people with money need that organ, they got it. So it's really sad, and a lot of people don't know that. And these locations over here in Chicago is about 7 left. It was 11 in the beginning, but because we put pressure and we were going out there and telling the neighbors what was on those houses, what was going on, they closed down like 4 or 5, and now it's about 6. They're still open, and this is just in Illinois, in Chicago.
Wow, that is something that you really, brought to my attention that I really didn't think about so far as the black market and all of these people becoming property of the state. I never really thought about it like that until you shed light on that. And I most definitely do believe you because we also have a thing called a cyber secure network where a lot of our people is going missing. Just like places in Ohio and Atlanta and all kind of places our people is just going missing, and it most definitely has to be because of the black market and these politicians and people playing this dirty, evil, nasty game that's diabolical. um I would like to ask you a question about
Let me let
Mexico.
me let me say one last thing about that. Human
Yes, sir.
trafficking, human trafficking, right now is the most profitable uh, uh, dark market in the world, more than drugs and more than weapons. Right now, human trafficking is the most profitable.
Let's stick on human trafficking. um when they also, so far as when we talk about Mexico and the correlations between going to Mexico and America, um, is there still a, no, I'm not gonna ask that, but gotta be careful. So far as when it comes to Mexico and the Mexican people, so far as Mexican Americans, do they still have a good relationship? Or are they getting treated unfairly? And are you doing your job probably to make that relationship better?
Uh, you mean the Chicanos from here with people from Mexico? That's your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes, I think I'm a part of the unity that is happening, uh, because I was born in Mexico City, and I most of my life I spent it here, but in my younger years I was there, so I have the understanding with the people from Mexico. And with the way the technology is working now, how information move so fast, and you can know what happened anywhere in seconds. I think there's another tool that we can use to unite, and to when somebody's trying to jacket 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 us, and you know put us in a situation that made people think, you know, we're not for real, or we, you know, a bunch of lies that they like to say. This internet is, and media moving in internet in the independent media I'm talking about. This all the information comes so fast. So this unity is getting stronger.
Mm.
And I also want to bring it on more scales with our comrades in Africa, with our comrades anywhere in the world. Because if you see how people is waking up now, that's because they know what's going on. A lot of people know. We still need a lot of work to do to wake up everyone, but that's
Yes, sir.
that's what we here
Yes,
for. But
sir.
yeah, the unity is between Mexican people from Mexico and Chicanos from here is, I think is good. And I do once I help all my comrades from Rambrace, if whenever they need to know anything about Mexico, I share a lot of information with them about what's going on over there. You know, they had a guy running for president these past elections, and Marco Rubio, Marcos Davila, Marco Rubio. What? No, Marco Davila. He was running for the uh, Mexican Communist Party for president, but people are not ready for that, and they end up electing the first woman president, and you know, a lot of people is excited about that, just like we were excited, or people was excited here for when Obama won. But a lot of us know that it just they're not gonna benefit the people. They're not.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's one thing we gotta work on it and bring unity everywhere. You know, everywhere there. Just like Che Guevara tried to do. You know, he went to Africa. Tried to he trained a lot of people. He teach a lot of people out there in the 60s and 70s. And look how's Africa now. Africa is good, man. A lot of things that Africa is doing, we haven't done. Africa is is really standing for the right things. A lot of Another thing they have done is they recover a lot of things that they stole from Africa from the museums in Europe. They recovered a lot of stuff. They returned a lot of things to them. And there's one thing we need to do too. The Copilio Montezuma, the headdress, is in Austria, and we've been asking for that to return to Mexico City, and it's very hard. They don't want to return it because the excuse is that it's going to disintegrate. They cannot move it from there. But the technology exists to bring it. But I mean, that's another topic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You brought up this word. You brought up this word that everybody is curious about, Chicano. Um, there's been a lot of definitions, but can you please tell the world and tell the people what is the definition, the true meaning of a Chicano? And then I will leave the next question to my spokesman.
Okay. Well, Chicano is actually means, and the native from this land. There's another thing that they say Chicano, like Mexicano. So it's pretty much the roots. Somebody, if you have roots from this continent, it doesn't matter what part of the continent, if in the north or in the south, you can consider yourself Chicano because that means you are from this land. But this came because in the 40s, and they start asking themselves, the Mexican American, right? They start asking and say, wait. In Mexico, they told us we're not Mexican, and here they told us we're not American. Well, we are. They felt that they didn't have an identity, and that's how the word Chicano they start using that, because they say, okay, I'm a Chicano. I'm from this part of this direction of the continent, and I'm native from this continent. So it's very much what it is. I don't know
Yes,
if I
sir.
answered your question. If I answered your question.
You most definitely did. Spokesman, please announce yourself. Tell us who you are, and then go with your question.
Free the Land family. I'm Olabanji Olatunde. I'm the spokesperson of the George Jackson Grassroots Collective. Comrade Chiltic, am I saying that correct?
Correct. You're good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I wanted to ask, just for transparency for our audience, I wanted to ask, could you go into the origins of the Brown Berets?
Yeah. I mean, they started on LA, in California, in East LA, because what happened is in the 60s, they did it just like boarding schools. That's what they did with our people. They wanted to erase the culture. They want to Americanize their minds, pretty much to be just employees for the system, modern slaves. That's what the teachers, because the majority of the teachers were white, so they have this agenda of on the East LA schools that just teaching the basics, just and tell them they just can be secretaries, mechanics, things like that. Don't teach. Don't go past that. Let's just make modern slaves to work for us. So the kids started looking at that, and some of them have the IQ to be whatever they want, but there was no opportunity. They didn't give them the opportunity, and they even told them, no, you cannot go to this university. You crazy? You just do a small career. Start making money faster. So the kids start saying, wait a minute, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a science, and things like that. So they start raising their voice. They did a walkout. It's called walkout. There's a documentary about that. It's called walkout. And former Brown Beret Carlos Montes, he's in that documentary, in that movie, and that explains pretty much how the Brown Berets start. And it was three young men at the time that started the Brown Berets. David Sanchez, Carlos Montes, and I don't remember the name of the other person, but those three people started the Brown Berets, and they did the walkouts, and then they start organizing, and that's when they killed Ruben Salazar. So now in East LA they have a park, Ruben Salazar Park. In the 50th anniversary of Los Brown Berets, of the Chicano Moratorium, I'm sorry, I was over there on the 50th anniversary. And the march that we did ends up right there on the Ruben Salazar Park. And actually Ruben Salazar was from Mexico. He was a reporter from Mexico. And when they did the riot at one place, they assassinate him. And then the Brown Berets started growing on membership, and what it is Houston, what it is Texas, California, they've been active since then. And other places, they didn't have no members. Other states, here in Chicago, they have two chapters of Brown Berets. One was in South Chicago. Is the part where in the industrial revolution, the industrial, they bring a lot of people from California, Texas, a lot of Mexicans. They bring here in trains to work on the steel mills. And there was the first Mexican neighborhood in Chicago, South Chicago, the oldest one. And right there they create a chapter, a Brown Beret chapter. And there was another one here in the west side in Pilsen. There was two chapters. And the second chapter was in, the headquarters was Casa Aztlán. Casa Aztlán used to have a beautiful mural with real revolutionaries. Che Guevara, a lot of people. I think Benito Juarez was there. And a white guy just bought that property and erased the mural. People were so upset about that. And it wasn't long ago, man. It was like maybe 3 years ago? But yeah, there was Casa Aztlán was the headquarters of the Brown Berets in the Pilsen, and we have another chapter. But what happened? This is another thing that happened to Brown Berets. When they came, a lot of them came back from Vietnam. So they came back so radical that they really want to change and take over, man. Like they were ready, and the system just went hard on them because they were radical. They were not playing, and some others, they were hooked on drugs because of that's what they make them be in Vietnam. They come back addicts, heroin, and so many things. There was another thing that made the chapters disappear because some were radical. They want to do real radical things, and they went after them, arrest them, kill them. The rest of them, they just like, what? It's hard. It's hard to change the system, and they just end up quitting. But it's about 6-7 years that we started the chapter again here in Chicago. So now we're growing. We're growing bigger than in the beginnings because we have chapters in more states. People want to be more involved. So I'm looking at this awakening, but We need the people, and we need unity of black and brown, and even white people, whatever. Because in the end, it's oppressor and oppressed. That's what we are. Because we can have black or brown imperialists, and we have them. And so this in Chicago, let me tell you, there's so many white comrades that is just like, you be like surprised. Because when we knocked down the Christopher Columbus statue here, I was so amazed how the white comrades stand in the front line and take the beating for for the natives and the brown people and the black people that was there. And eventually the mayor at the time, he ended up taking down the statue. We couldn't knock it down, but she took it down. She said, you know what? These people's gonna try again. So and she took it out. So right now the pedestal is just there, empty. And I'm telling everyone, because she was mentioning she was gonna put it back, and then no, she's not gonna put it back. She's going back and forth. And I told people, you know what? We need to demand to put a real person that represent us. And I was telling everyone, we have a lot of people in Chicago. There's a lot of activism. The history is big here, but I say, hey, why not Chairman Fred Hampton? That's a real hero for the people. We should replace Columbus for him. And people like the idea, and hopefully we can make it happen. And but that's the history of the Brown Berets. It was the walkout because the students didn't have the chance of becoming doctors, becoming attorneys, becoming science. And that's what I told my children. I have 4 kids. They grown, but I told them, they did that for you guys to be whatever you want. You gotta, you gotta be thankful, and you gotta use it. You gotta take advantage, because now you can be anything you want. And luckily, my kids are doing fine, and all of them have a scholarship. All of them do. So we moving slowly, but we moving. And I also see that on the Black community too. There's so much talent and wisdom in our new generation. Look at what's happening in the college, what's going on in Gaza. The students don't give a fuck. I'm sorry, my language, but they don't care. They were risking their careers by protesting for the right thing. They were teaching the teachers what is the way to be.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was also going to ask, what does black and brown unity looks like to you, and how would you like that to be implemented?
I mean, it's the first thing we need to understand is that we need to respect each other. We need to have a respect, and we need to work together, and we need to gather and discuss the point of view of your comrade, to understand, because this is another thing they do in here. and I probably anywhere, they dividing the black and brown right now with the issue of the refugees coming from South America. Here it happens here. A lot of people were mad about it because they were saying, "Oh, how you gonna give all this money to these people that's not even from here, and the people that has been here for generations, you're not helping them." But that's the game they play to keep us divided. And what every time I see the situation, I told them, look, we need to focus on where they spending the billions and billions of dollars. There is enough money for all of us here. Housing, education, and healthcare. I believe those are human rights. I say the money existed, but where is going? It's going to Israel, it's going to Ukraine. This is where it's going. So we need to protest for the right thing, not for crumbs. Because actually, and this is what I told the people, I say, actually, whatever they say, the millions the refugees are getting, it's not true. They're using the last possible money on them so they can pocket the rest. And you guys know this is the way it is. It's human capital. I call it, Diego Rosarin called it human capital. Because there's like I was saying about the trafficking, they're using this, they're using this thing they doing with the refugees to profit. And the less they spend on them, the more money they can pocket. It's the same thing with the jail system. The conditions inside the prison is depressive and is horrible. But they charging the money from the state. They're taking money from the state like if it's a 5-star hotel. So yeah, whatever problems our communities have, we need to unite. We need to unite, and we need to come together, and we need to have conversations. When I see something like on media that they dividing the black and brown because of the refugee issue, right away I say something, and I told the people, look, that's not what we had to protest for. Those are crumbs compared to what they sending to bomb hospitals and children in Gaza. It's just like Frank Chapman was saying a comment on his page on Facebook. He say that this thing about this court issue about Trump is a distraction. It's a distraction for what they're doing in Gaza. That's all it is. Because he's never gonna touch jail. He's never gonna put one foot on jail. And there actually is propaganda for his campaign in the future. So we need to, have our priorities correct and go for the right thing to protest for the right thing, which is the genocide in Gaza. That's really ridiculous what's going on over there. It is. If our situation of the children in jail here, like the one we talked about earlier, is bad, over there is just really bad. And we need to unite. We need to unite on the right things. and educate our comrades and the people when we see them that they going in the direction that the system wanted to go.
Back in the day, Fred Hampton, the Honorable Fred Hampton, was able to develop a rainbow coalition.
Yeah.
That was a very powerful united front in Chicago at that time. Would you think that that same revolutionary act that was displayed back in that day, do you think that's possible now?
Most definitely it is. Most definitely it is, because like I mentioned before, whatever is happening in the world and in one city on the whole United States is moving very, very rapidly, and information is just whatever happens in one place, they know it all over the world in minutes. So I think it's more possible now than than how they did it in the 60s and early 70s.
Yes,
It
sir.
is. Yeah. The only thing is that we gotta be careful of of the of the names we use. You know, like saying, "Oh, Rainbow Coalition." Like, I don't know if you ever went to on our page. It's called Los Brown Berets and the International People's Coalition. I name it like that because I didn't have no issues with the original Rainbow Coalition. So I think it's okay. It's okay. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing, but we just name it like that for the reason that it's one original Rainbow Coalition. And I also, uh, work with Fred Hampton Jr., Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. At times, and I know in order for us to name organization, a bunch of organizations, the Rainbow Coalition, I think we need his permission and his mom permission.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, it's
Um,
possible.
and salute to Fred Hampton Jr. I was also just with him for Malcolm X Day, helping him with the Fred Hampton Garden, and that was a beautiful event. Salute to everybody there. Um, as we go further into this dialogue, the question I asked pertaining towards Chicano and the Brown Berets,
Mhm.
what type of institutions and programs do y'all have right now to foster and events that have to form this type of unity?
Well, we don't accept sponsor from anything that has to do with the city or the government, because when somebody do that, then they can tell you what you can do and what you cannot do. So the way we do it is however we can get any donation of clothing or food, or whenever we can get. Somebody told us, hey, you know what, we got this much clothes, we got this much food, come and get it. We be there in no time. And then we know what neighborhoods to go to distribute it, where there's a lot of homeless people. When this refugee thing started, a lot of them were living on outside police stations on tents. So we were going, taking whatever we can get, go and take it for them. Sometimes we told them, you know what, some of the rice that they have, because, you know, most of them don't know. And then being outside the police station is crazy. One thing they wanted to do with because they told me, I used to go and visit them, but used to bring them water, bring them, food, clothes. And they told me, hey, you know what? They told us that they can pay for a hotel. Somebody came and says from the government and said, oh, we can pay for hotel rooms. You guys don't have to be on a tent. But we need to, the only way that if you accept it is we need to put the men in one section, the women in another section, and the children in another section. And some went, and some say, no, you're not going to separate my family. And they stay on the tents. But yeah, pretty much is what we're doing. I need to start working back on the issue of the kid jails, because still some open, and I need to work something out to see what's going on with that, and go see how many more we can close down.
Yes, sir.
Because we also asked for them to because they say, okay, we close it down, where they gonna go? I say, we have communities here, and a lot of them, the reason they here, that's because they were coming with somebody that they know, with a relative, but they're just profiting with that, with the lives of children. But yeah, that's
Yes,
what we do. Whatever we can get from people that call us, and like the Tlatuani, the prime minister from Los Brown Berets, she's a truck driver. Yeah, prime minister is a woman. A lot of people don't know that, and a lot of times, people be making things up, saying the Brown Berets they are, how you call it? They like machos, because at the 60s, they have the image that the women's couldn't have higher positions, but I mean now I think we the only Los Brown Berets are the only branch that has a Tlatuani, woman Tlatuani. I don't know if you guys know Yola.
yes.
Yeah.
It's a very good person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she's a truck driver, and they let her know in places that she go. They say, hey, there's a lot of food that's gonna go bad, and she go and pick it up, or me too. If it's clothes or whatever food, I go and pick it up. However we can help, but it's a struggle, because we don't want to accept help from the government, because we know when what comes with that is for us to do to tell us what to do, what we can do, and what we cannot.
Yes, sir. I have a question talking about the borders. And this is one big, deep question that's around everybody's mind that everybody will sooner or later talk about. As America being a land that was conquered, and there was already indigenous people here, a lot of indigenous native, our people from your people, has already been here before.
And now that they came and colonized this place,
They want to dictate who comes in and out when they are the visitor themselves. My question for you would be, how do you feel about people escaping their countries and coming here. I am a truck driver myself, comrade, and I see a lot of land that's vacant. I mean, most of humanity in America be in the major cities, but so far as the rest of America, it's very vacant. You know, there's a lot of space for people to come. There's a lot of space to be shared for oppressed people throughout the world to escape to this place they call the land of the free. Um, what is your perspective on the borders and people coming here, illegally or legally? Give us your perspective on that.
Okay, well, I'm strongly believe the borders are made to divide and conquer. That's the whole purpose of borders and walls. So I welcome anybody that wanna be anywhere in the world. If it's here, hey, and if I can help, I will. And yeah, and then also another reason I think that way, that's because the oppressed people need to unite. It doesn't matter where we from. Because when we unite in masses, we can make the top crumble and fall. So yeah, borders are to divide, and you know the narrative that they say, oh, they criminals and they come to do this and that. We know it's not true. All kinds of people come. People with careers that they don't have opportunities on their countries. Why? Because the imperialist countries made them like that. Made
Yes,
those
sir.
countries like that.
That's right.
So
So this
mhm.
leads me to one of my last questions as we dialogued for almost an hour. Very good dialogue. You thought you couldn't last, but you did. You had all the answers for me. You didn't think it could go this long, and it could go longer.
Wow.
Because we could talk about this all day. But just like I tell everybody else, we most definitely want to keep this communication going with you. Put boots on the ground as well. Giving you your flowers now. You are a very honorable name in Chicago, and everybody tells me you do the work, and that's why you're on here. You're a progressive person in your community that really believes in all power to the people, to all oppressed people. Which leads me to one of my last questions. Um, the importance of a united front in America and abroad. Can you tell us the importance of that?
Okay. No, I mean it's a must. I think that's a must because I mean in history we already see. You know when somebody rise up, but it's a small group, right away they go with whole force and divide them, arrest them, kill them, and it will be over. So it's very important that we unite nationally, nationwide, or like we say in the north direction of the land. It's very important to unite in masses and all the cities that we can. And it's possible now with the way uh, communication is happening now. Like you know what we're doing now, the brown berets, they couldn't do it in the beginning in the 60s. Right now we have regularly meetings nationwide on Zoom, like we doing right now. On Zoom, we have meetings. Uh, if it's something going on in one place, we know about it. So no, I think it's possible, and we need to put boots on the ground for the unity of the oppressed people, continentally if possible, but at least in the United States, because whatever happened here is going to spread out. I know it's going to spread out, just like the May Day. May Day happened here in Chicago, the martyrs of Chicago, and what happened? It spread all over the world, and Labor Day everywhere is May Day. It's Labor Day for something that happened here. And I'm just saying, I'm not just talking about Chicago, but it happened here. But anywhere in the United States, we have a strong voice. And people everywhere else in the world putting attention. They looking. So I'm pretty confident that if we unite nationally here, we can make the whole world to look at us and do the same thing. And in effect, we all gonna be united. And there's one thing the system is very afraid of.
Yes, sir. I would like to add on to what you just said. And this came up in a lot of interviews and dialogue that I had with other progressive people, is using this social media tool, this tool we call the internet. It's most definitely a big tool, a tool that must be utilized in this modern time, 2024, moving forward. And we should continue to heighten and spread awareness on it and influence and do strategic alliance with it. But there's another element that we must bring back from the old school days, is actually implementing and meeting each other in real life and doing what we're talking about. Because there's a lot of people who get on these Zooms and these calls, and sometimes don't do what needs to be done in real life. Sometimes the people fall into sensationalism of, the feeling of being revolutionary in these groups, but we must implement now. We're in the stage of action and implementing. What do you have to say about that, comrade?
It's one thing I see, there is an issue of for a lot of people, I believe, because I noticed that on our branch of Los Brown Berets, the majority have a job, and have things that needs to be paid. And I think there's one obstacle that we have to move more effective on a goal that's going to benefit all the people. A lot of us have jobs, and it's kind of it's the part that is slowing down the process, I think, because I'm speaking for myself, and I can see it in other comrades. And right now, like myself, most of the time I'll be at work 7 days, which I don't, I don't like, but I need to. My all my kids are in college. The oldest one, he's already working. But the other three, they're in college. So I know I have to be there for them, and I also gotta pay things to support myself. So that's the one thing I see. But I'm ready for whatever. But I'm ready for whatever. If like Vladimir Lenin say, he say, uh, be ready because um, a whole decade nothing can happen in a decade. But be ready when a decade can happen in 1 year.
Good one. Good one.
Yeah.
I would like to add on to this real quick before we go out and talk about how we can support you and things of that nature. Um, and it just came to me as you were saying this, and I actually had this issue come up with a comrade in my collective talking about bills, and he has to, do things for the family.
Mhm.
Number one, I tell all my comrades the revolution starts at home, with your family, and you got to get your bills paid. These are the things you have to handle. But another element that I feel the revolutionary movement needs to do in these revolutionary forces or whatnot is to educate the youth to fight as well, because it's not that people are older or losing energy or fatigue or nothing. It's the older people have responsibilities, like you said. Back in the 60s and 70s, the Panthers and even the Brown Berets, I would say, and some of those people was young people, but it was like 19, 2020. Look at Fred Hampton. He died at 21. A lot of these guys was coming out of high school and in college. You know what I mean? That's where their fight was at. Um, and I don't want to bring up much, but a lot of them was getting funded by different organizations, revolutionary nations across seas, funding them as well and things of that nature. So there was money being given to them, and of course, they was also partaking in other things to make money, on top of newspaper, but other things as well that we're not going to get into in here. But now today is 2024. We have to work. You know what I mean? Nobody's trying to do all the other things right now. We live in a different time, a different era. You can't go to a bank and rob the bank or a plane right now. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be smart because you most definitely will get caught as the cameras will catch you as soon as you go in. You know what I mean? And then you know how Chicago is. They got cameras all over the place and any
Oh,
other city, So you have
yeah.
so we live in 2024 era where we have to work and be more strategic of what we do, I would say. So I think a big remedy for that would be getting the youth involved where they have more time educating them and influence them more, black and brown or whatever, and getting them involved. And that's all I have to say about that. Um,
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. We have we have people that joining the Brown Berets now, and when I have uh, comrades just getting out of high school, I'm like, yeah, right on. Inside in my mind, I say, that's good. That's good that this
right,
this 18-year-old is thinking about these things.
right,
Mhm.
right. So I would like to say, Conrad, how can we support you? You have any websites you would like to tell everybody to go to, or anything that we can do to donate or support you, or for people to get recruited into your ranks? Could you give us the information on that?
Uh, you know what? I don't know the email, but I can text it to you. And
Okay.
or I think is with Brown Beret, man, 2020. But I texted to you, and maybe you can
All right.
share the information. Yeah, because I don't
Yes,
have
I
a
most
copy.
definitely, yeah. Yeah, you just give me all the information and I'll make sure I share it within this site. When we put it on our YouTube, all the information will be there. If they want to join the Brown Berets, your chapter, your branch, any other branch, and how to donate to you and everything as well. Just give me that information whenever you get the chance. Um, we have another person in here, Mr. Joe Gonzalez. Do you have a question for him before we leave?
Oh no, I mean, hermano, your brother, you pretty much answered everything that similar to how I would answer. Just one of the things, my understanding is Chicanos are children of the earth. We're from here. We were already here, and we still identify as such. But no, other than that, unless Chiltic, if you wanted to mention anything about the work we are doing with the Eagle and the Condor Coalition, bringing all indigenous peoples working collectively together, created by Aimsters and Brown Berets. If you'd like, and if not, it's good. But no questions. Thank you.
Yeah, no. That's a really good thing because he was asking me about unity and
Mhm.
the page that you made that is called the Condor and the Eagle Unity.
The Eagle and the Condor Coalition.
The Eagle and the Condor Coalition. Yeah, it's actually. I want to share this with the comrades. It's actually a prophecy from this land. When we see the condor and the eagle flying together up in the sky, there's a sign for us to unite continentally. And all indigenous tribes in the continent know this. And I don't know if you know, comrades, but around Panama, there's pretty much the division between Anahuac and Tiwantinsuyu, the land of the fire, from Panama down south in the south direction, and from Panama to the north direction is Anahuac. That means land surrounded by water. And for some reason, this line, the condor from the south, never fly in the other side. Never. They can, but they don't do it. And the same thing, the eagle doesn't cross their line down south. Once they reach there, they go back. And that's why this prophecy, exists now, because when we see them flying together, when the condor cross to the north direction and the eagle cross to the south direction, and we see them up in the sky in the whole continent, there's the sign that we need to take the land back. And I'm not saying the land back to do what white men did in Africa and here. I'm not talking about that way. Take the land back to save humanity and to be inclusive. Everybody that wants to adopt the way of living of our ancestors, that pretty much was the same thing in China and Africa, everywhere. Ireland, we gonna work with them, and we're gonna welcome anybody with open arms, and we're gonna be inclusive to save humanity. not to say the planet, because the planet, if we don't do that, it's gonna just get rid of us and start all over again. The planet, the Mother Earth got the potential to do that, but she's waiting on us. So yeah, that's what the page is about. And one thing that is about too is about to free Leonard Peltier, to help free Leonard Peltier. You know, he's been locked up for so many years. He's about 80 years old right now. And so many presidents passed, and they just look the other way. None of them given the presidential pardon. They could do it, but none of them have the intentions to do that. Because why? They wanna use it as an example, but it's just so sad. You know, because
Could you
Yeah.
please give us more information on him and what he's about? Can you let the world know who he is and what he did and what he's about?
Yeah, he was one of the members of the AIM, American Indian Movement, in the 60s, and they rise up because they were being abused on the reservations. They were not giving them any chance on their own land. So they rise up. Yes, they did it in arms, and the thing that he got arrested. They say he didn't commit the crime that he was accused for. I believe it was that he killed. I think they say he killed 2 officers, FBI agents, something. But people know he did. People that know the real history, he didn't do it. But they use him as a. So imagine being locked up for all these many years for something you didn't do. I mean, they do it all the time. The system do it all the time because jail is a profit corporation more than what they say it is for. That is to make the people sociable, available to work in society. Like fix them supposedly, but we know it's not true. We know it's just a business. So right now, I think Joe, that was today, right? His hearing was yesterday.
Yes, that's correct. It's his 48th year, Leonard Peltier. It's his 48th year wrongfully incarcerated, and he's 78 years old. And yesterday, correct, at 11 o'clock Florida time, he went up in front of the parole board, and there was people, praying, and however you pray, whatever your religion. Most of us were burning sage and praying to the 4 directions. But we'll know something within 21 days. They have 21 days to make the decision. I mean, he's suffering from health conditions that pretty much jeopardize his life. He's in Coleman, Florida, a federal prison, who have kept them in isolation and lockdown for weeks and weeks, and partly because they're understaffed. That's the problem with the prison. They're understaffed, so they keep them all locked down. And that did happen. And Wounded Knee, they had a shootout with the FBI's, I think for 40 some days. and on reservation land, and he was wrongfully. They couldn't get him on murder. They had him for conspiracy to murder. So, and his two co-defendants were found not guilty because they found that the FBI came in there. They're shooting at them. They have the right to protect themselves. But they wanted to make a martyr out of someone. And this is what's happened with Leonard Peltier. After knowing that the bullets that killed the two FBI agents in plain clothes in a plain car, pulling up to a house on the reservation and just thinking they were going to get away with it after having, I think it's 40 some days of shootouts. So that was one of the main things. I got to speak with him on the phone, and he's doing okay. And he's kind of the one that gave us the permission to even start the Eagle and the Condor Coalition. I would say in his blessings, and then also in his honor to keep his name alive, just like a lot of our other political prisoners. So that's just another thing when you guys were mentioning unity and what are things we can be doing as far as unity. And of course, you're doing a fine job here, Comrade Ghazi. But it just takes time, and I'm glad for Chiltic for even coming and stuff. And then maybe after the recording, if we can stay on and just talk a few minutes. I know it's getting late. You probably got to get some rest or go eat dinner or something. But that's all. And then I could send you Ghazi the information, different information on Leonard Peltier. That's all.
And yeah, I want to mention one thing too about what you just say. You asked if it was possible to bring the unity, like when the Rainbow Coalition happened again, and I told you, we even can do. We have the tools to do it. And one thing that the symbol of the Rainbow Coalition, it has the white, the black, the yellow, the brown, and the red. But this is what is happening now with people learning and understanding of the ancestry roots. The red and brown, we've been the same people all the time. But somehow they kind of draw the line, and a lot of people saying, no, you are Latinos, you are Hispanics, they Native Americans, and you different people. But now we say, no, it's not true. 60% of the majority of people from Mexico all the way down is native blood. We have the blood of the same people. So yeah, the unity I think is getting better because people is learning and information is moving quick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. For the sake of this recording, and then we're gonna talk some more, or just a little bit more after here. I just like to thank everybody for coming on. Thank y'all for engaging with the George Jackson Grassroots Collective, and we will continue on moving forward and keeping this dialogue and engagement going after this. And we will check up on you too later with another Zoom with everybody that we interview quarterly, just to keep the connection going and keep us going towards the right direction. I would like to end. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to mention something too before we leave.
Yes, sir.
And I know our dear brother, comrade Rafa Vitia, he said all the time, we are native. We are native from this land. Don't let don't let people call you Hispanic or Latino, because Hispanic from Spain, Latino from Italy, because Latin
Mm.
is a language that used to be out there on the area. They used to spoke, and you know, there's this thing. Oh my God, I forgot. Sorry. Uh, I will think about it. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
But and it's I'm happy that you brought this up. Um, and like I said, we are gonna do a part two, a part three, a part four in the future. But most definitely, let's talk about this real quick. So far as Latin and Spanish, like you just said, Latin is Italy and Spain. Spanish is Spain. Um, so and Chicano is here as in an indigenous person from this land, this area. What was the language, and if you can educate people, that y'all spoke before the colonizers of the Italians and Spanish people came?
Well, there was uh, in Mexico, just alone, is 66 different languages, 66, 67, and in the whole continent, it probably was like 500. Uh, but what is the one of the languages that was more people spoke at the time before the invaders came? Uh, it was Nahuatl. Nahuatl. And one thing we're doing right now with our chapter is, instead of using prime minister, commander, uh, soldier, you know, those terms, we starting to use the Nahuatl terms for positions similar to that. Like Cayotl is Tlatuani, is Nahuatl.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar to prime minister or commander in chief. That's what Tlatuani means.
Mm-hmm.
Yaotl is warrior. We don't call ourselves no more soldiers. We call ourselves warriors. So now what the most spoken language in the north part of in Mexico, from where the Mayas are, because Mayas, you know, is another language, but from down south to even parts of what is now United States, the south, Texas, New Mexico, those places, a lot of people speak Nahuatl, or a language similar to Nahuatl. It's like now the Spanish and Portuguese is very similar. If somebody talk to me in Portuguese, I don't understand them because it's very similar. So there's pretty much the same thing with Nahuatl. There was different languages, but there's some terms and terminology and things that they pretty much were called the same.
That's almost the same what we do here with the Republic of New Africa. You know, the New African independence movement. We try to convert more of our language back to Swahili, just like how y'all guys are doing with that on y'all guys' side as well. So I think that's a great idea and a good thing to educate the people on, is getting back to their original language. Mr. Joe, Mr. Gonzalez, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll be brief for out of respect for time. But when you were talking about different languages, and kind of what I was envisioning is we already know we've been colonized in Canada by the French, here in the United States by the English, in Mexico by the Spaniards and Portuguese also. So what happens? We ended up losing our languages, our root languages, but we always claimed our indigenous lineage of bloodline, even though we were colonized and like people from, and depends where you come from. But we got to think this is all Turtle Island. First and foremost, we are all brothers and sisters, and that's the concept of bringing everybody, the eagle and the condor of prophecy, bringing the peoples together. So whether they come from Canada and speak French, or they're here from the United States, speak English, or Spanish brothers and speaking brothers and sisters down south, and that's really important. And I'm glad to hear that y'all are doing that too, taking back some of your Swahili names and or just learning the language. I mean, Nahua is very hard for me to pronounce a lot of their words. So, but a lot of us are learning it. We should be having more classes about it.
Yeah,
That would be nice.
I am, and actually, when I start learning Nawa, I realize it's so easy because the ABCs in Nahuatl, there's less letters than English or Spanish. And I'm like, it sounds complicated, but it's not. And I'm sorry, Joe, I remember what I was gonna say. Well, like what Rafa Vitia mentioned all the time, the socialism is on our DNA.
Right.
We are culture of work on society. And one thing I want to mention about, it was a law for the Mexicas. It was a law implanted for all the people. Like they have these big cities. When Tenochtitlan was already a big city, a lot of places in Europe were little towns. A lot of places here were little towns. And some not even existed. And we have big cities already, like the Incas. The Incas, they were already a big city and culture. The Mayas and the Mexicas. And one law that we have, it was on the harvest time, we didn't have yards like we have here. You just grow grass and waste water. Growing grass. We have places to grow our own food. That was our yard, what we call yard now. We grow our own food. And when some of the people, have a good harvest and some don't. And there was a law that if you didn't have a good harvest in your yard, you have the right to collect from the age of your neighbors. There was a right. If you didn't have enough for your family, you have the right to collect from the ages of your neighbors until you cover all your needs for your family. So it's a little history that I want to share, and I'm pretty sure you guys have similar things in our motherland.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I would like to thank everybody for the dialogue here today once again. And we will have another one of these, another one of these, and another one of these as we continue our fight towards liberation and freedom to all oppressed people. I would like to end by saying, free the land, all power to the people. Let's build to win. Still to
Free the
win.
land and all power to the people. Thank you,
Power to the people.
comrades.
All power. Free the land, free the land, free the land.